Hey James.
Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. It's great to meet you. First of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Before we dive in, I'm gonna be talking at you quite a lot over the next sort of 30 minutes. I will tell you a lot that you'll probably go over your head straight away, but that's not a problem. You know, we're here obviously, hopefully, with kind of the idea of being here fairly long term. In terms of making sure that we get you to where you currently are to achieve your goals. So. Before we kind of dive in, I've got a load of notes with regards to sort of what your objectives are over this next 6 months and hopefully the 6 months after. But talk to me in your own words about sort of what brought you to the program, where you currently are, and where you'd like to see yourself moving over that sort of that period of time.
Yeah. No, I can try to condense that in just a minute or two. Um, but for the most part, I mean, I've always been active, played sports all growing up, wrestled in college a little bit, uh, and then continued, did a few marathons, even did some triathlons a few years ago, and then during COVID, and then I started a new job, which is at a big law firm. So it's just like busier, got a little bit more hectic, and it's just keep getting like pushed off and being like, all right, next month, I'm gonna get back into it. I'm gonna get organized. I'm gonna stop doing, just ha like incurring these like bad habits, which aren't like terrible, but just not when you're dialed in, you're organized, and like you feel good about your current schedule. I've got into the habit of just like, I'll just respond to emails as I'm sitting on the couch, and then all of a sudden it's 11:30, midnight, and then I'm going to sleep, waking up tired and not want like so I've just gotten into that rut, which uh and eating, sometimes you're focused, you feel good about making all your choices. I know when I go out to eat and I order French fries, and it's not like, wow, this is my big outing for the month. It just becomes normal. Then I'm like, oh, and again, it's not a terrible habit, but it is when I know that now that that's my default is that I'm getting sweet potato fries and being like, oh yeah, it's sweet potatoes, we're good. Doing that versus a side salad is when I know I'm like, all right, I need to kind of like, so I've been telling myself this for a while. And saw your guys' thing on LinkedIn. I mean, honestly, on like a whim, just like clicked it, reading all these reviews, and everything they said kind of resonated with me because I've done, like I did, I don't know if you've heard of Renaissance periodization, but like I
Yeah.
did that program
Mike
maybe 4 years
Israetel.
ago.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's with Dr. Mike Israetel. Yeah, I know Renaissance periodization.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, like that was great, but it was really focused on, counting carbs, which was what I was into 5 years ago or something. And it worked, but it was almost too focused on just nutrition. I mean, they gave some tips for exercise, but not this kind of like full service. So everything I was reading in your stuff just resonated that, you know, it's encouraging. It helps you kind of get back and address a lot of the things I just mentioned. So that's ultimately, I'm not super focused on gaining a bunch of muscle. I'm not super focused on getting a six pack, but just a little bit of everything is kind of the goal is that in 6 months. And then the last thing I'll mention, and I'll turn
Yeah,
it back over
please.
to you, is I'm starting so I'm reducing hours at the law firm and starting a business program like every other weekend. So my schedule is going to start to shift. And if anything, I'm a little concerned. And we also had a baby in October. So there's a couple things that are coming together, which I know if I don't do anything, it's going to, all of these habits that I'm talking about that have been on the worst side of habits. Uh, are just going to get worse. So my hope is that by putting this in place, the program starts in July, that, when you're on it, then when I go to that program, I have class on Friday. I know I'll like probably eat well, get to sleep, hit to the gym Saturday morning, and then hit my classes and then go home. Like I know I won't do that, my current mindset. So I'm hoping that some of these things will I like a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about. I'm interested in it. But I have enough friction to push me away from it. So
I
that's
think
my
it's,
spiel.
yeah, I mean, everything that you've said there is every kind of client that we come up against. I mean, I've been a coach for the past 20 years. a large amount of that working for the High Performance Health Program and also working with a large amount of lawyers, bankers, city traders, people like that in London's kind of financial district. And I get it, time becomes very, very, very poor, if and we have a community group and I posted a message on there the other day. People will take every single minute of every single day that you offer to them. And that's where I think this program works because you will have a day's worth of structured to-dos. And what we're trying to achieve, the company's objective is to try and add 10 years on to somebody's life, obviously for much, much, much further down the line for somebody of your age. But it's about creating those micro behaviors that become such an automated response. I always joke with this, but it's a little bit like nobody reminds you in the morning that you need to clean your teeth or put your underwear on, right? We just do it. And that's kind of sort of the approach that I have in terms of let's walk 10,000 steps a day. Let's maybe stick a Fitbit on a watch tracker, in terms of how active you are. Let's have 3 training sessions a week. Let's do a couple of cardio sessions a week. Are you hitting your 150 grams of protein on a daily basis? Little things like that. They're not difficult objectives. It seems quite overwhelming at the beginning, but once we get into that habit of just saying, are you set up for the week? Here's the structure that you need. We're providing you with the structure. All you really need to do is just make sure that you're ticking one of those boxes and sorry, ticking each of those boxes. And the people on here that have been most successful on this program are the ones who continuously tick each box month after month after month after month. And having that monitored accountability that we create for you guys with us watching over your shoulder on a daily basis to make sure that you're doing it just creates that level of, oh, James is watching. I know I need to make sure I hit this or hit that. However, on the other side of things, when busy schedules start to happen, the program is very flexible to be able to say, can't do that training session today, move it to tomorrow. Maybe we need to restructure and think, actually, do you know what? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday isn't working for you. Maybe we need to kind of condense it down a little bit, or maybe we need to be more weekend heavy in terms of the training sessions as well. So in terms of sort of, we'll run through activity, we'll run through exercise, we'll run through sleep, nutrition, sleep, and supplementation as well. But in terms of activity, that's one kind of health marker that I think a lot of us don't focus too much on. We hyper focus, I've trained 5 times a week. I'm like, that's great. But if at the end of the day, you're telling me you've only done 2,000 steps a day, that isn't great. We want to be making sure that we aren't sedentary. We want to be putting things in place to, could you be doing calls at work standing up? Could you be doing calls at work with a headset on, perhaps walking around the office when you're not on video? I've
Hmm.
implemented little structures in people's daily lifetime where they're parking further, or even though they're like the CEO of their company, they're parking further away. And I've got one client who now walks an extra 1,200 steps a day to work just because he parks at the very end of the parking lot. It's little things like that that add up. When we compound that over a significant period of time, adds into, the amount of energy that we're burning off on a daily basis, which is just good habits to put in place. So kind of to start with, do you use like a Garmin or a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or anything to track how
Uh,
active you are?
Whoop.
You wear, sorry, I missed that one. You wear a Whoop. Okay. Okay. So what we can do is we can connect your Whoop. Your Whoop will connect via Apple. Do you use iPhone? Yeah. So the Whoop will connect via Apple Health. What we could do is I will get you to connect your Apple Health through to our app, and then all of your kind of stepping metrics and all of that data will get pulled up to our system on a daily basis. So it's one thing that I like to track how active people actually are as well throughout their daily lives, not just whether they're showing up for their training sessions. Um, so to dive into the training plan, this is what your schedule looks like. Now, you've asked for it to start on Wednesday this week, so I think everything is good to go from Wednesday. So I'm gonna start on Monday rather than starting on the Wednesday. So Monday we've got a full body one and a mobility prep. Each training session will come with all of the instructions. It will tell you first of all it's going to be about 45 minutes long. It's all of the exercises, all the sets, all the reps, and the rest in between each set. And each exercise will come with an instructional video as well. All right. Now, whenever I start off, Scott, with anyone new, for the first 6 weeks, I keep it super simple. Because what I'm more interested in is what is your exercise compliance like? It doesn't need to be overly complex to start with. We can have some real fun with this further down the line. We can design training programs, upper days, lower days. We can do body part specific, supersets, drop sets, pyramids. We can do all kind of stuff. But right now, we just need to practice and get good at the fundamentals: a push, a pull, a leg, a rotation, and some form of arm exercise. That's kind of the design of the program. Plus, also, with trying to make sure that we condense it down into that 45-minute time slot, we want to make sure that we're getting as big a bang for your buck as you can throughout that training. Now, all I would say for the first 6 weeks on the program, like I say, I'm looking at compliance. With regards to sets and reps, keep it fairly the same. I'm looking for you to work to kind of sort of leaving one rep in the tank for safety at the end of each exercise. That's all we really need to do. When you're
One
coming,
thing, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing. If I actually, do you know what? I've lost my train of thought. Go on, you dive in. I'll come back to it in a sec.
Didn't mean to cut you. I wanted to mention. So I forget what I put in the responses, um, but so this is definitely the weightlifting is by far the spot that has been dropped off the most. I don't think I've lifted honestly since uh my daughter was born. It's in like October. So I'm gonna be super weak here next week, Wednesday. And it'll scale up. And even with 3 sets, I've always noticed like the first time I come back, I'm sure this is like everybody, but for a person who used to lift quite a bit, like I'm like amazed at how like I feel like I just was like beaten with a bat. So I'll probably like start really light. Just
Yeah.
wanted to put that out there for reference when it comes in, and then hopefully we can continue to scale up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that is what we call delayed onset muscle soreness. You might have heard of that acronym. Stands, it's DOMS, DOMS, and it's just muscle fatigue that your body's not used to. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
good gracious me, what on earth is going on? One thing I will say to anyone coming up into a program from relatively doing nothing from a significant period of time, that first 12 months on the program, you will gain so much lean muscle tissue. It's unreal. It's almost a case of like literally looking at dumbbells and you'll just start, building muscle. It will always be the biggest amount of muscle you will grow will be in that first 12 months of lifting. All right. So there's no race to the end. People talk too much, people focus too much on the finish line, whereas we need to kind of take the ideology of there is no finishing line. The finishing line is at the very end of your life. This really is about creating good positive habits that are going to have a significantly good impact in terms of, how long your life is. And I think as well, you mentioned you have a young child. Now, they may be super young right now, but a colleague of mine mentioned this on a podcast that we recorded a few weeks ago, and it's something that really sticks in my mind. I have a 3-year-old. You have the opportunity to be the legacy of change for your children. And I think if you can create a really healthy environment with regards to looking after your mental, physical well-being, I think they're like a sponge, they just follow everything mum and dad are doing. And I think that's such a powerful message. And it really hit me in terms of, they look up to us, right? And setting those kind of expectations, well, I think is a wonderful thing. So when it comes to the training session, each session is, like I say, literally push, pull. There'll be a leg, there'll be a rotation, and arms. So I've kept it super simple. So I've got chest press, some pull downs, some step ups, some incline dumbbell curls, some wood chopper to train in the transverse plane, and then some dumbbell lying leg raises. Each training program I put together also comes with mobility prep. This probably is the most important part of the training session. Now, as I mentioned, you're a young guy, you're only in your 30s. So for me, mobility, I can't imagine is going to be too much of an issue for you right now. However, when we're looking at mobility, we're looking at the rotational mobility through your thoracic spine. We're looking at improving the range of motion that you have through the ball and socket of your shoulder and of your hip as well, most movable joints in the body. Because if your body can access that range of motion, exercise execution will be better. Therefore, you will get better results because your body isn't finding the path of least resistance, if that makes sense. The mobility stuff I keep super simple as well, and I make sure that it literally covers all bases. So we've got some lateral side bends, some 90/90s. Again, each exercise will come with a video attached to it, and I will be talking you through the execution of the exercise as well. So that is Monday, and then I've put in some a full body 2 on a Wednesday, and then a full body 3 on a Saturday with some cycling and some cardio on either side as well. Now, you've said you're available for all of those days, right? For right now, you might go, geez, going from nothing to 5 is a lot. I would say if we can try and achieve like 75% of each training program each week, we might get 3 or 4 weeks down the line. And you say, James, I'm just not managing this much volume of stuff. My body just isn't recovering quick enough, which is absolutely fine. Then we can change. The most important thing is between week to week, in between our calls, just staying in communication. The more engaged you are with me, the more success you'll have on the program because the more I know that you're thinking about what you need to execute on a daily basis. The other three targets, objectives I've put in on a daily basis is trying to make sure that you're hitting your step count. Again, we can move that number if needs be. 10,000 doesn't really have any specific health benefits. It's more just a target for people to aim for on a daily basis. However, if you go back and look at your Apple Health and it shows you that, yeah, actually you're only you're walking, let's say 6,500 steps a day. Okay, cool. Let's aim for 6,500 for that first week. And then the following week, let's try and add 10%. And the following week, let's try and add 10%. It's about trying to just be a bit more active throughout the day rather than just relying on what you're used to doing. 150 grams of protein on a daily basis as well. So that number comes from, we're aiming to achieve muscle protein synthesis. We're looking for between 0.5 to 0.8 grams kind of as a minimum on a daily basis. Now, if I were to say to somebody, all of a sudden start hitting 200 grams of protein a day is too much. All right. So 150 grams of protein per day. To give you an example, what that looks like. For me, I would start my day off with 3 boiled eggs. That's 21 grams with a scoop of protein powder. That's another 20 to 25 grams. So all of a sudden, before I start my day, that would be at like 45. I then have a tuna fish, like tortilla wrap at lunchtime. That's another 30 grams of protein. I would then have a piece of meat. Normally for me during the week, it's chicken for dinner. And then I would have a protein yogurt in the evening with a scoop of protein powder in it. And that's getting me around sort of 175 grams of protein a day. But we will dive into that on your meal plan. But and then I've given you a target of making sure that you stay plenty hydrated as well. And I've gone kind of on the lower end, around 85 ounces of water per day. We would normally go sort of half an ounce per pound of body weight, which is not a million miles off what your weight is currently. All right. So always making sure that you just have access to water throughout the day as well. So that's your calendar, Scott, for the next 6 weeks. I told you I'd be talking at you a lot. Do you have any questions with regards to anything that you see on there so far?
Yeah, that all sounds good. And my
Yeah.
numbers, like this is what's going to be a good check. Is like I don't know what my current step count is, but it's like we live on the fifth floor. I could easily walk up the stairs. Like that's just an easy thing that I feel like from this program will be something that'll just become second nature, hopefully here in a few weeks rather than taking the elevator.
Absolutely. I used to work in a gym that was on the fourth floor, and it always made me laugh the amount of people queuing up at the bottom of the elevator to take it up to the fourth
Yep.
floor. You're
Yeah.
like, you could just walk 4 flights of stairs, you're coming to work out. But
Yes.
no one ever did. So that's the training program. The training program will change every 6 weeks,
Okay.
depending on how much you've been able to achieve these tasks. All right. For a successful kind of periodized training program, we want to be working around sort of 6 to 12 weeks. We keep it on the high performance health end a little bit lower so it doesn't get boring for you guys. However, we also want to make sure ultimately that results are more important, than making and chopping and changing the workouts too frequently. Your body needs to have time to adapt to that stimulus. We want to, let's say, for example, day one, you rock up and go, I can chest press 75 pounds. Great. If at the end of 6 weeks, you can say, I can now chest press 85 pounds, awesome. That's progress. that is the body achieving progressive overload. And that's kind of what we're aiming for. At the beginning of week one, it shouldn't look the same as the beginning of week six. We'll keep the sets, we'll keep the reps the same right now. I don't really want you changing much of that. And we can just focus on just trying to push a little bit more. But like I say, just 1 or 2 reps extra in the tank. But anything where we can increase that overall lifting volume is going to be good in terms of building lean muscle. But like I say, that is where you currently are with your training program. Now, with the meal plan I've put together for you. In fact, I'm just going to show you some information here. So I went out and figured out your BMR. Okay. So your BMR is, I'm just going to use a visual tool here. I use this with all of my clients when I first meet them. So this is your total daily energy expenditure. And BMR takes care of 70% of the calories you burn off on a daily basis, right? That literally is every kind of chemical reaction that's happening in your body to keep you alive. And we call that resting energy expenditure. So your resting energy expenditure right now is 1771 calories. Now, this is a little bit sciencey. It doesn't really make any difference for you right now. Now, your total daily energy expenditure is all of it. It's everything that we've got here. It's the resting energy expenditure and the non-resting. The non-resting is what you can take control of. Non-exercise activity, we've already talked about that. Standing at a desk, walking up and down the stairs at home. Can I walk more steps throughout the day? Anything that you do that's active that isn't classed as physical exercise. We've then got the thermic effect of food. All right, so we've talked about that. That is how many calories your body burns in order to break down the food that you consume. Now, protein has the highest thermic effect, which is another reason that we want to make sure that you're hitting your daily protein targets. And then at the top of this, EAT, that makes up 5% of the calories you burn off on a daily basis, is exercise activity thermogenesis. All right, so what I've gone out and done is I figured out that your BMR is 1771. But your total daily energy expenditure with 2 to 3 days of exercise a week is around 2,436 calories. All right, so that's how many calories basically you could consume on a daily basis, exercising 2 or 3 times a week in order to stabilize your weight. Because I would say the way your weight currently is, we don't need to massively focus on that. It's more about just changing the composition of what it currently is. So with your meal plan, for example, this is what I've put together for you. The reason it will show under that number that I just suggested is so it always leaves you a little bit of spending money at the end of the day, whether you like something else, let's say dessert at the end of your main meal, for example. So we've gone with eggs on toast. Big fan of, so great way to start the day. High source of protein shake and a piece of fruit. Ideally, you would normally have that post-workout. It's a great way to replace those depleted glycogen stores after a workout, and also making sure that you're getting some protein in post-workout as well. Lunch, spicy chicken wrap, and then a healthy Indian beef stir fry. So that's day one. So I've put 5 days together. The reason I don't put 7 is to give people a little bit of flexibility throughout the weekend as well, because that's when people tend to want to spend a little bit more calories. So this also, following these numbers, would give you a little bit of a deficit to then go out and spend a little bit more at weekend. All right. So you'll notice that breakfast and protein shake are the same for the first couple of days. I will always keep a protein shake and a piece of fruit. That's perfect for the kind of thing that you can take to work. If you have your protein powder in the office, for example, you can also bring in a piece of fruit as well. Some chicken pesto salad and some grilled tandoori. So, for example, let's say if we clicked on day 3, it will give you the ingredients for 1 serving. It will give you the directions as well. What I really like about this, let's say you're like, do you know what? This is how much protein I'm getting. This is the carbs I'm getting, and this is the fat that I'm getting. It's this many calories. I want to make that for me and my wife. We just add 2 servings and it doubles everything for you, and it just figures that out. So It's a great way to not only cook for yourself, but also to cook for other family members as well. And each one of the recipes will have exactly this. If you think, "Do you know what? I really like it. I'm going to make it for me 3 days on the trot," bang. And then you come home and you've got that grilled tandoori chicken with rice, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for example, already taken care of. All right. So we've got some creamy, high protein scrambled eggs and some goat cheese. Again, a protein shake and fruit. So I've given you lots of simple, easy dishes that you can put together quickly. All of the meals say are super simple. I think they're very normal to what a normal a modern day kind of human would eat on the go as well, and it's that we can prepare quickly and make for us. Um, I can change this over for you. I would recommend becoming familiar with it over the first probably 7 to 10 days. We can make adjustments if we need to. Or what I tend to find that happens is the meal plans can be quite restrictive. Now, we might go further down the line and think, actually, using this 50% of the time is great for variety, but actually, I'm also going to use a calorie tracker as well to track my own calories because it's just a little too restrictive if I'm going to be in a hotel for 2 or 3 nights, or I'm going to be traveling away, or I'm going out on weekends. Um, but this is what it looks like for the first couple of weeks. And then, like I say, we can this will probably be part of the program that will be the most fluid that we can move around a little bit more as and when needed. But any questions with any of that, Scott, so far?
I don't think so. I mean, do you have any tricks in terms of, I mean, like 3 eggs? Okay, that's easy. I can handle that one. But when it's like 6 ounces of chicken and stuff, without pulling out the scale and getting like two, especially if I'm at the office, because in the office they have like buffet lunches. So I'm gonna
Yep.
try to focus on like salads and putting some chicken in there. But is there, probably you can Google this and find some thing
Like,
of like some shortcut, but like 3 pieces of small pieces of chicken and that usually, you know, equals six
so
ounces.
one chicken breast is going to be around sort of 6 to 7 ounces.
Okay.
So if we're thinking this looks about half, it's probably going to be 3 ounces. So 6 to 8 ounce chicken breast is going to be around sort of 50 to 60 grams of protein. So let's say, for example, we were to go, I'm going to have half a chicken breast. That's going to be 3 ounces. That's going to be about the half the amount of protein. All I want you thinking about, especially with somebody at your weight, is because weight isn't a primary objective of you. If you came in at 250 pounds and weight was your objective, I'd be like, right, we need to track calories a little bit more. Because you're somebody who's coming in at a fairly lean weight and it's more about body composition, for me, the ultimate goal should be making sure that you're hitting your protein targets on a daily basis. That's going to enable us to be able to achieve muscle protein synthesis, which is essentially building muscle. That's kind of what we're here for, right? We're here to build some lean mass. Um, so that kind of would be my final objective. But yeah, 3 scrambled eggs on toast, something like a scoop of protein with a banana, a chicken wrap, for example. I would go with probably around 3 ounces of chicken, avocado, fold it in a tortilla with a little bit of salad. And then with the stir fry, again going for around what have I put in here? Yeah, sort of seven ounces of sirloin steak, for example, something like that. So as long as you're kind of hitting that 6 to 8 ounces with meat, what I would say for right now is eventually visually it does become a lot easier. I would encourage people to weigh stuff out in the very, very, very beginning to just have an idea when you're eating at home, so you can then visually look at that and go, well, that's about right. However, when it comes to measuring vegetables, I would say there's absolutely no point because, a whole head of broccoli is going to be 100 calories maximum, right? It's really not going to do any significant damage to the numbers that you're pulling up. And then, like I say, if we're thinking about your total daily energy expenditure is around 2,400, 1850, 1845, 1958, it gives you a little bit of flexibility in terms of one, making sure that your portions will probably be slightly off, or two, I'm going to have a yogurt post dinner, for example. I'm going to have a yogurt, or I'm going to have a protein bar, or I'm going to have a piece of fruit, or maybe I want a little bit more chicken or a little bit more vegetables. It just gives us a little bit more flexibility within that kind of calorie range. But I think what I would say for right now is let's get the program underway. Let's get you started. Let's see how you're feeling with these on a daily basis. If you're struggling, we can. we can figure out an alternative plan. And I think that alternative plan would be a little bit of meal plan, a little bit of calorie tracking to make sure that we're just hitting those protein targets on a daily basis.
Yep. Makes
All
sense.
right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now the next one, have you got another 5 minutes?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. The couple more things I want to talk about, just sleep and supplementation. With regards to sleep, what would you rate your current sleep? You mentioned you had a baby in October, so I'm going to guess it's absolute toilet, but what is your sleep like at the moment?
I think you captured it. I mean, it's it's not great. But it's probably not as bad as some. I mean, she's for the most part sleeps pretty well at night. Um, and it's just kind of staying disciplined. She's been waking up early, so we're trying to always go to sleep decent time. With work, that sometimes pushes me to like getting the 6 hours, but I would say it's rare to get less than six. And I'm also fortunate in that like I can go to sleep on a dime, and I sleep heavy. So that once I kind of like develop the better habits that I know I've had in the past, I feel like that's one where it can be an area of improvement because
Yeah.
I don't have the problems some people do.
What would what would bedtime normally look like for you in terms of sort of shutting down?
Yeah, I mean I'm usually on my laptop again, all the way until the end, and but we'll have like the TV on, like half working, till probably around 11, and then like immediately shut the laptop, head down, and go to sleep between 11 and 11:30, and then get up at 6.
Okay. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more as we go through this in terms of just creating a little bit more of a break for yourself from the
Yeah.
screen. I'm sure without me telling you, you know that, being exposed to blue light photogens from a laptop screen and iPhone is going to be really bad. You sound like you're one of the lucky ones. Because I know so many people that go, I just can't go to sleep. I'm like, what does your evening look like? I'm on my phone until, 11 o'clock at night in the dark, and then just expect to just bang, fall asleep. Your brain is essentially telling you, hey, Scott, it's still daytime outside. What are you thinking of? It can have an impact on the production of melatonin, which obviously is our sleep hormone. So it's something that we'll focus on. I definitely want to dive into it a little bit more and give you a little bit more of an understanding of, how sleep can impact cortisol levels and natural testosterone levels and natural growth hormone levels as well. But let's see. I don't want to over blow your
Yeah.
mind with science right now. I think it's more a case of just getting you into the habit and getting you into a good routine.
Yeah, and like part
Mike,
of me has been telling myself I want to either be like, but I just keep it's easy to have the laptop out while I'm like quasi enjoying myself, but I want it to be like, no, you're either working or you're relaxing. Like you're one or the other. Stop doing this in between thing. So I'm hoping that, yeah, as part of this, that's part of at least my own initiative is like go upstairs, sit at the desk, do some work, and then shut the laptop, go back downstairs, have dinner, play with the baby, and then if you need to, go back up for another half hour, but then again, exit versus just, yeah, I can because I feel like at the end of the day, it'll net out to being just as productive if I'm 100% focused on it
yeah,
versus 50%.
sitting there almost feeling like I need to do this, but I don't really
Yeah.
want to do this. I think having
Yes.
alarms set for yourself as well are really great with that. It sounds like a really simple tool. I'm really lucky in my job. I start at like 6 a.m. in the morning and work through pretty intently through till about 5:30 p.m. And then quite often I can just shut down. I might do a little bit of work in the evening for an hour, but it really is that case of no, it has to be my time now. I have to have that sort of 2 or 3 hour break before I'm going to go to bed. Otherwise, actually, you're less productive just by thinking, just because you're tapping on keys or looking at a work screen that you're actually really doing anything. Um, Last but not least, then let's talk, just sort of briefly touch on supplementation. Now, what I mean by that is, are you currently taking any protein powders or creatine powders or magnesium or anything like that? Or is there anything that you wanted to discuss that you think would help you along this journey that you're not taking right now?
Yeah. I mean, as part of, I guess, what has triggered me to like for this website to resonate and to like take action was I listened to like Peter Attia and Huberman and all these guys that are, put all this great information out. So yeah, but I was listening to something with Attia the other day and he's like magnesium, and I'm like, I should be taking everything this guy's taking. Like what? So uh so that all that being said, I'm not currently taking anything, but on my better moments when I'm really like focused on all this shit, it's like, uh fish oil. I've never taken magnesium, but that seems to be like a good thing in terms of, all things longevity and just being at your best. Creatine, protein, but the answer is I currently don't have anything, but absolutely open to
Yeah.
exploring whatever you recommend.
I think for me, I would definitely would look at taking some form of that magnesium. I take a 3-in-1 complex. It's glycinate, malate, and citrate, and that kind of takes care of helping the digestive system to start with. It takes care of kind of muscle and nervous system functions, like so allowing you to recover better, and also, helping to reduce fatigue, reducing the risk of things like cramps. And also, it's not a sleep aid, but it promotes restfulness as well. I actually take, say, something right now called, it's by a company called Nutrition Geeks, but I can certainly send you over stuff that I would recommend.
Yeah,
Without
that'd be
making you walk around like a permanent pill caddy, I think things like omega-3 are fantastic as well. I think creatine is massive. I would say hold off of the creatine right now because you're very new to this program, and just by looking at dumbbells, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to build up. And I don't think right now that would be of any significant benefit to you because we're not rushing towards finishing this. This
great.
is really lifetime sort of focus. The biggest one for me, if I'm honest, when it comes to lifting weights and you're looking to promote recovery and repair, it would be a simple protein powder. I really couldn't recommend that more highly. I can send you over some links that we would recommend through Amazon. A protein powder to take a couple of times a day, take it with water post-workout, take it with water just before you go to bed in the evening, some kind like that. Just have them spaced out, trying to make sure that you have protein within your meals throughout the day as well. It's just going to give you that biggest chance to achieve that kind of muscle protein synthesis that we talked about. And when you think about what muscle is made of, it's protein. We need to be making sure that we're fueling it with the right nutrients in order to promote recovery and repair as quick as we possibly can. I could fire that over to you as a message once we jump off of here.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that'd be great. I may
what's
have like some protein in the cabinet from, 3 years ago when I
check the sell by date, the best before date, sorry. It may have expired, but I can send you over some stuff that I would recommend. Finally, last thing to finish, and I always say this to every single one of my clients. There's two things I ask for on this program from each person I work with. Commitment, because you've got mine 100%, and if you can fill all the blanks that we've asked you to do, you will achieve nothing but success here. And communication. The biggest thing that will make you successful on this program is your engagement with me throughout our weekly check-in calls as well. The second people start to drop off, that's when problems start to appear. So I would encourage you massively to make sure, one, you always attend those calls. Two, if you ever have any problems in between those calls, reach out to me because I can solve a problem like that, but I can't solve a problem that I don't know that there is one. All right. So if you have any questions, always reach out. At the end of each workout, you'll get a little RPE scale. It's called a rate of perceived exertion. It looks like a little kind of rev counter in a car from 0 to 100, 0 to 10, sorry. Essentially, basically saying, how hard do you think you worked today? Always leave me an honest score, and you get an option to just leave me a little comment at the end of the workout as well and be like, great one today, really enjoyed that. Or could be felt a little bit rushed, didn't have time to fix it, fit in everything, we'll finish tomorrow, or feeling a little bit low today, didn't get everything done. Whatever it is, just let me know how that you're feeling post each training session. Um, and finally, last thing before we leave, just booking our regular check-in call. If we can just get a call scheduled every week, ideally the same day, if that works for you. I appreciate obviously stuff needs to change around, but do you have your schedule with you and what it looks like so
yeah.
we can just get that booked in? Um, what I was wondering was whether you could do something similar time every Monday that we've had booked in today.
Yes. Monday mornings is usually,
Okay.
um, interestingly enough, next Monday is going to be like summer intern start. So that's like, well, it's actually 10:30. Actually, 10:30 works. It's going to be 9 to 10. So, 10:30 would still work.
Yeah, I can set you a repeat appointment. I find that it's going to be much easier for you if you just know you're seeing James every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Bang, 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 bang. If we need to change it, that's fine. I appreciate things crop up. But it's good to just have that call in the diary. And I think it's great to meet at the beginning of the week as well. And if we can, everything for you starts live on Monday. If we can get that first, sorry, everything starts for you live on Wednesday. If we can get that first call in on Monday, we can just pick up right at the beginning of your sort of your first full week on the program and just sort of discuss anything we need to.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, sir. It was a pleasure to meet you. I will send you that invite over as soon as I jump off on this call. If you anything that you need between now and then, say there's a messaging section on the app. Now, you'll see that. So on the home screen, on the bottom right-hand corner, you should see a little picture of me. If you click on that, that will open up a message box. However, you've obviously also got my personal number as well. So if you find it easier to message me directly to like iPhone to iPhone, then please feel free to do that as well. But I'm happy with either. All right.
So, James,
Awesome,
thanks
sir.
again. This was a great intro. Look forward to really digging in.
Excellent. Look forward to it. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you Monday at 10:30 a.m. All the best, Scott.
Good.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
See ya.